All right, guys. Wow. All right, we had some technical difficulties this morning. Um, I do apologize for all of that, but we do appear to be back in shape here. Let me just get a couple other things set up. All right, we are in the Flight Factor A320 Matavia mod, and I'm going to show you guys that. We're going to use Pilot Edge this morning. We're going to do a short flight from Ontario, California, up to San Jose. Nice to see you again. Alright, our chat box is working. I do apologize, guys. Last night I had a very late arrival into my home. I got in around 2:30 in the morning, so I overslept a little bit on my day off. But we are firing everything up here, and we should be good to go. Now let's go ahead and log into Pilot Edge for the first time. Alright, invalid password, you say? Really?
Connected to Pilot Edge.
Oh! Alright. Last thing we have to do if you're using Pilot Edge, I do apologize, this is my first time using Pilot Edge, so I downloaded the program, or you have to pay a subscription fee, but they actually have 2 weeks free. And then after you log in, put the plugin in your plugins folder, all you really have to do, as far as I understand, is bind a key command for contact ATC. So we're going to go ahead and put that on the trigger, which in the real Airbus, the trigger is our push-to-talk button. And I think after that, that's all we need to do. So let's go ahead and make sure the airplane is getting aligned. We're going to get the fuel pumps on here. We're going to walk through our flows, get everything working. Nav lights coming on. Hello from Asia. That's a long ways away there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and contact clearance delivery. Just before we start plugging everything in here, let's make sure that we are in the right area and doing the right things. Sorry, I'm trying to get my reshade back on. So somebody asked me if I used X-Enviro. I do not. I use reshade, and I'm doing a different capture mechanism so you guys can see it, because typically you can't see reshade when I just do a Windows capture for X-Plane. Alright, we're 18.1. Radio check. Make sure it's on the right thing. Ontario clearance, American 24, correction, American 229. From Japan, watching the stream from Germany. Man, we got people from all over. Welcome, welcome. All right, we go on Ontario to San Jose. Now I wonder why I'm not getting a radio response. I am on clearance delivery, which was 118.1. Let me see if X-Plane has a different frequency. I don't imagine it would. Clearance delivery 118.1. Interesting. So that's all set. Let's double check our controls here. Should work. I wonder if there is one for the 320. So let's just make sure. Ontario clearance, American 229. ATC coverage is offline right now. Interesting. Okay, that will take care of it. Thank you, Cotterloo. No, not a problem. That's kind of a bummer. I probably should have looked at that, huh? Alright, well, let's go ahead and let's get everything else going here. We're going to be American Airlines 229. We're cruising over at flight level 290. A line on ref, please. Confirm. We're going to depart 26 right on the Palmetto 1 Echo Hotel Foxtrot. Hello from the UK. You wouldn't miss a free class on the A320. Well, I'm glad I can provide that for you. Hopefully we can learn a few things together. Just pulling up my clearance that I actually filed with Pilot Edge, even though that it's offline right now. So I have, let's see. Thank you, Connor. I appreciate you telling me that. I probably should have checked that. That's a bummer. Next time we'll get it going. Today was kind of a scramble. Like I said, if you're just joining the stream, I had a late night last night. And I wanted to get things going here earlier, but just a little behind the 8 ball from the get-go, so it's all right. We're gonna get going here. We're gonna do the Silicone for arrival. I think it is via Gilrow. We're gonna do no start. We're gonna do no via. Insert that. Let's take a look at our flight plan. Remember, always build your flight plan in plan mode. That way you can see what you're doing here. All right, there's our discon between the en route and the arrival. All right, that looks pretty good. And this is our approach. Coverage starts in 1 hour. Okay. Well, hopefully, maybe we can pick them up en route. We'll do a airborne clearance. Back to my old cargo days. We used to do that all the time. Take off VFR and call them in the air. All right, flight plan is set up. Our secondary flight plan. You've been following my videos. You know how we do that. We just go ahead and put the return runway back into here. Whoops. That is one nice thing about this flight factor is we can use our secondary. And a lot of guys have been asking, I see on the forums and whatnot, they say, what is the secondary flight plan really used for? And other than, you know, just kind of having a backup flight plan. And you know what? Last night we actually used it. So I'll explain the situation. We were leaving Minneapolis, and what happened was after we pushed back from the gate, air traffic control said, hey, we got a reroute for you. Advised and ready to copy. So we copied down the reroute, and it actually was 300 miles longer. And I was able to do that because I loaded up the secondary and I put the reroute in the secondary, and I can compare the two flight plans side by side, which is a real helpful. It's really helpful in, you know, in the real aircraft. And you see, okay, oh wow, this is 300 miles longer. You can see where we're going. So we actually had to go back to the gate, get more fuel, and then by the time we took off, we didn't even fly that flight plan. They had us vectored all over the place. So, but that is another real world example of when you could use your secondary flight plan. What am I doing here? Oh, temperature is 17, and we're just gonna go light variable 040 on the wind. Another quick tip: in a pinch, if you don't know what your MDA is, just set 200 DH, and that should be sufficient for any emergency. Do I use SimBrief or something else? No, I don't. I actually haven't used any ATC or any flight planning materials because, you know, coming back from work and being home, I just kind of want to do my own thing. I don't want to have to follow any flight plans or follow any guides, but I do want to start using the ATC thing. I think that would be pretty cool, especially live streaming. So I'm going to start doing that. But yeah, I don't use any traffic plugins either because, you know, I sit in line for takeoff for 45 minutes at work. Last thing I want to do is sit behind some virtual traffic for 45 minutes on my day off, so I've already sucked in enough exhaust fumes. I don't need to have virtual exhaust fumes. Alright, we're on a diff rip here. We are almost done. Zero fuel weight and zero fuel weight CG. Let's go ahead and get that going here. We've got 9.4. That's plenty of gas. Let's go ahead and do a full flight. Let's load this plane up. Set that to full. It was crazy. Yeah, it was a little crazy, man. It was crazy. It always happens on the last day. I've been working for the last 6 days, and of course the last day, the last leg, that's when stuff always starts to happen. It never fails. It also helps to call the right baggage loader when you want to load the front cargo too. There we go. Let's be a little bit heavier. There we go. We'll set that. Alright, we can come back to our perf with data. Send for a weight request. 56.8. That matches right there. 27.8 on the trims, or I'm sorry, on the CG. That matches. We are within limits. Perfect. Plenty of extra gas. I'm going a little bit heavier today. Do you think the takeoff V speeds are a little off compared to real life? Yes, in the flight factor they definitely are. And what's happening is in real life, we send all of our stuff to a company called Aerodata, and what they do is they actually take your your minimum performance, and then they put in a bunch of other restrictions, so it's much more conservative. So our speeds are much higher in real life. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw in some speeds here in just a second. Get that up. Let's go ahead and we'll remove everything here. Gosh, I love those BSS sounds. That hydraulic pump you hear closing that is spot on. I feel like I'm back at work. We no longer need ground power. We'll go ahead and close that. We are. Where is that still on? Yeah. I don't like having these panel lights on. It makes it look a little fuzzy. We'll come up with our own squawk. We're gonna squawk 2552. And perf data. Let's see. So flight factor is gonna be 138, 142. Yeah, that seems pretty low, especially for this kind of load. I'm gonna just ballpark it with something that I'm familiar with. We're gonna go 147, 155, and 156. We're gonna do a flaps. Let's do a flaps 2 to. No, those are flaps 1 speeds. Do flap 1. Let's do a toga takeoff. Let's do full send. We're not gonna do a flex. We're gonna do a full send, toga takeoff. Listen to that BSS roar. All right, we are aligned. We are pretty much good to go. Let's get the pushback truck set up here. Now I'm gonna ask you guys. I have a Forkboy ortho scenery for California here, and unfortunately the weather right now is pretty darn bad. So would you like me to just clear the weather out and so you can see better, or do you want to just stay with the real world weather? It's pretty much just low ceilings all throughout the state of California. So
ground to cockpit, plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
can you check if it's realistic? I will give it a look, Albert Christian. I will take a look at that after the stream, and I will see if I'll see what it produces. All right, one other quick thing I want to show you guys. We are in the Matavia mod, Flight Factor 320, and you can tell that when you look at the wing textures, they're just a little bit darker, a little bit more dirty. Some of the lighting you'll see on takeoff, it's pretty incredible. I mean, it really just makes this plane pop. Did I install the latest update? No, Connor, because NASA, you are correct. It is on the beta, so I don't have that. Let me do a before start check here. Windows, doors, and slides closed and locked. Beacon is on. Our service idle parking brake is set. All right, 4-star check is complete. Let's go ahead and get out of here, guys. It is pretty stable. You know, I don't know, man. I went to the beta once.
Cockpit, tow is driving up.
I went to the beta once and I had some issues and I stopped. I don't know. I don't really like running betas because you may get some good ones, but then there's that one game-breaking one that causes a bunch of issues. Real weather. Okay, we'll stick with the real weather. Hopefully it doesn't destroy my frames too much. I am going to be working up some support systems, guys. We're going to upgrade this PC because if you don't know, I am going to be taking leave from my real job for a while, and I'm really going to start producing much more content for you guys, and I am going to do an overhaul on the PC. I'm going to get some upgrades. I definitely need a new processor. I'm running a Gen 1 i7 2600K. So I'm gonna do an overhaul on my PC, and I'm really going to start making some content for you guys. And I'm also going to start doing not only just Airbus stuff, but there's a couple of great GA airplanes that I have a lot of experience in, and you know, like such as King Air and some props, turbo props that X-Plane has to offer.
Okay, all doors and hatches
And
are
what
closed.
we'll do is we're going to
Ready
do some real world flying back when I was a freight dog flying cargo, and I'll live stream that, and you can see some, you know, some low level, down and dirty flying in the mountains and in weather, and no GPS, no pink line, no Children of Magenta. We'll be using VOR nav, ADF nav, all that stuff. So I'm going to be making that kind of content for you as well, not just the Airbus. Connor Lewis says, "Oh, and is the ground effect during landing a little bit less than it should be because I need flare it a lot to make it butter?" All right, let's two things about the landing. Ground effect, I really haven't noticed too much of an issue with this plane landing it, but I will say there's a plugin that a lot of guys are using on YouTube, the one that pops up and says butter and 156 feet per minute is a good landing.
Inserted. Release parking brake.
Brakes release, clear to push, straight back. Show me the pin. All right, so
Starting pushback.
on that
And
landing
make sure
plugin that shows butter and all that, it also shows you landing at 0.9 or 0.8 Gs. That's not possible because on approach, you're already at 1.0 Gs. So in the real aircraft, you can actually pull up your landing report through the maintenance function. It's a load 15 report, and it'd be through the ATSU, or it may even be through something else. But you can pull up your landing report, and you can see the G load on touchdown and all that stuff. And I tell you what, man, a 1.2 G, that's getting up there. That's pretty hard. So I've seen some discrepancies with that landing plugin. I actually used a different one that shows it shows much more information. It shows the runway, it shows the height above the threshold as you cross the runway, and it also shows a correct, or what I think is a correct G load, because it always shows 1.0 something or 1 point whatever, and the feet per minute are a little bit more crucial. Like if you land at 140 feet per minute, it'll just say hard landing, which that is kind of hard. Whereas the other one, I don't know where it gets its information from. It just doesn't seem as authentic to me. But the big part about the landing plugin I use, and you'll see it here, it shows you your height above threshold. And that's very important because in real life, that's something that I look for every time I land the aircraft. When I come across the threshold, it's my preference. I want the Airbus calling out 50 right as I cross the runway threshold. That's a audible cue to me that lets me know, okay, I'm on the correct path here. I'm sinking where I want to sink, and this is going to be a good touchdown. Now, also in the real world, we can't.
Operation complete. Go ahead and set the parking brake.
All right, brakes set. You're clear to disconnect. Show me the pin out front.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
So in the real world, you also can't float halfway down the runway and just to get a butter landing. You really need to put it down within the touchdown zone. It's actually procedure. If you can't land in the touchdown zone, it's an automatic go around. Doesn't matter if it's just a few feet past it. If you're not in the touchdown zone, it's an automatic go around. So you have short windows, and depending on the length of the runway, sometimes you just got to set that baby down. You can't focus on a smooth landing. One airport in particular, if you're familiar with Burbank, California, Southwest has put a couple airplanes off the runway there. Very short runway. I think it's 5,500 feet, but the acceptable landing distance, or I'm sorry, the actual landing distance is less than 5,000. It's like 4,800 when you include the displaced threshold. So very short. You have to be on speed. You cannot be long, and if you get a soft landing there, it's pretty good. But you're more likely just try not to go off the end of the runway. Alright, we got engine 1 start. Let's go ahead and fire up number 2.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
I'm going to see something here. I'm looking at my stream. I want to see if this is in fact capturing. Alright, good start on engine number 2. May I know what landing plugin you're using? Yeah, I will show you that in just a second here. So for that, I'll extend the flaps in the other view just because I want to hear it in BSS because it's so amazing. Gosh, that sounds good. Alright, let's take a quick look at the plugins here just before we get underway. We have, I think it's, oh, we don't want that one. They had 2 versions, so it's 2.02. Now, the one that I use is the updated one. I pass it. Landing speed, version 3.10. That's the plugin I use, and you'll see when I touch down, and it's in all my videos, it gives you your height above touchdown and everything. Is the landing plugin heavy on FPS? No, I don't believe it is. The flight factor is heavy on my FPS, especially in real weather as we are right now with a very cloudy day. But as soon as we get going, we should be okay. Another thing I learned, I'll mention this in my last video, if you are using this flight factor and let's see, I'm already using, where is my X-plane? There it is. What you need to do is close your second CEF render. That will also help in frames. And we have night flight next stream. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Alright, brakes released. I'm not doing anything, guys, here. I should have done my after takeoff. Let's see, that's off, that's off. AP bleed is off, and APU is coming down. Alright, we're taxiing. Yeah, on the ground here with this plane and low clouds is really taxing on my frames. Hopefully we can get out of here. If it's really becomes an issue, we can, I'll end up just clearing it out because we're low vis here. Pretty good. Alright, let's do a flight control check. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right, neutral, and we can check the rudders. Full left, full right, neutral, auto brake max, takeoff config, TARA. And our top altitude on the SID is going to be 14,000. Can you briefly describe how the knobs work? What happens to push the set? Yeah, I'll get to that. Remind me if I forget when we get up off the runway. I'm just gonna take off. I'm gonna try to get out of these clouds, man, because I can feel my CPU melting. All right, we're gonna simulate. We're clear for takeoff. 26 right. Let's get everything on here. Flight attendants prepare for takeoff. Oh yeah, the frames are struggle bus right now. We are so heavy we can barely turn this thing. We're not even that heavy. I didn't think we were that heavy. What are we, 66 kilos? Alright, 50%. We are spooled. Let me get it straight so we can hear it from the good view right here. Toga, baby. I love that sound. Hold on the stick, 80 knots, thrust set. Neutral by 100. Got my head shake. plug-in on as well. Looks like that needs some adjusting. V1. Rotate. Positive rate. Gear up. We're navin'. Trying to get the screen set. Acceleration altitude is, was it 1350? There we go, lever climb. Thrust climb, climb, auto thrust. Breaking through the clouds here. We're going to go ahead and we'll show what happens when a little bit heavy like this. Your flap retraction speed is pretty close, or getting up there to a red line. We're going to do an auto retract. Keep an eye on that flap position there. I'm not going to use the flap handle at all. You'll see an auto retraction sequence here. It will retract the flaps and leave the slats out. At least it should. There it goes. There's the auto retraction. And you can see our slats are still extended. And now we go ahead and go flaps up. After takeoff checklist. Wow, yeah, these clouds are really hurting me here. Alright. Autopilot 1 engaged. We need to cross at or below 7,000 per the SID. So it looks like we're going to level off just prior to Pomona VOR. Excuse me, I'm drinking my coffee. Still waking up, still waking up. We could actually go ahead and kill the turn off and taxi line as well. There we go, speed all constraint star. We're going to level at or below 7,000 for Pomona VOR. You can really see the Batavia mod and how it changes that wing. Really makes it look good. Does this plane fly as accurately as the real thing? You know, it's pretty darn close, man. I've done some comparison videos on my channel, and it's pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good. Yeah, hey, you guys didn't know about the auto retract. Yeah, you see that a lot in when you're really heavy, a hot day. There we go, thrust climb, climb. Airplane is going to go ahead and continue on up with the departure. Looks like it's not going to meet Buck at or above 14. We'll see if it can do it here. The 321 is very notorious for using the auto retraction, because sometimes you take off and your flap speed is right at that that red line for the do not exceed for the flaps, and so as you go through it, like 205 knots or 203 knots, something like that, they will do a retraction of the flaps, give you a little bit more buffer. I know coming out of Las Vegas in the summer or Phoenix in the summer, in a 321 when you're heavy and hot, it's a dog. It is a dog of an airplane. What's the point of enabling Autopilot 1 when nav is already enabled? I'm more familiar with the Boeing than systems. Well, first of all, welcome to the Airbus. It's a much better airplane. You're going to like it. Everybody tell Touchdown that he is finally on the right path with the Airbus. So Autopilot 1, this push button over here actually is going to engage the autopilot. Even though I'm in nav mode, or I'm in climb mode, and it's complying with... It's not, the airplane won't comply with anything. It's just going to show you what to do via the flight directors. When you press Autopilot 1, you actually engage the autopilot to take command of the aircraft. So even though you're in nav mode and climb, or for VNAV terms, would be in VNAV and LNAV, that's only the flight director commands. The aircraft won't do it unless the autopilot is engaged. And if the captain is flying, use Autopilot 1. If the first officer is flying, he will select Autopilot 2. They're two independent systems. Do the flaps always auto-retract? Yes, they do. They will always auto-retract. There is 10,000. We don't always let them auto-retract, but they do. Alright, we're at 10,000 feet. We say climb maintain flight level 290. That is our cruising altitude. Let's take a look at the box here. It's going to be a little hard getting up there. It's only 275 miles. It's going to be a quick flight. My question, my McDo makes crazy flight plans that make no sense. How do I make sure the McDo doesn't screw it up? I'm lost in the sauce. So, I'm not sure why it's making crazy flight plans. It should, oh, I heard, something going off there. I don't know what that was. Let's see, what was I saying? Oh yeah, your flight plan. So the best way to check it, if you don't know, make sure you are in plan mode here. And on the flight plan key, you can step through your flight plan and make sure that it looks like it should. Now, why is it making crazy flight plans? I'm not exactly sure, but I do know the method, the phrase that we use is garbage in, garbage out. Andrew P. donated 100. Andrew P., you are my man. Appreciate that very much, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Garbage in, garbage out. So if you put something in here incorrect by mistake, the airplane doesn't know any different, and it's going to leave it in there until either you catch it or you fly into it and find out you turned the wrong direction. So, yeah, that's pretty much the only way I can explain that. It's kind of garbage in, garbage out. Andrew P., thanks again, buddy. I really appreciate that. Thanks for your support. I'm really looking forward to taking this channel off, no pun intended, and really getting some great content out for you guys. If you couldn't meet a restriction, you would let ATC know as soon as possible. Yes, absolutely. Like right now, we're not going to make buck at or above 14,000. So I would tell them that. And here's a tip. If you want to climb a little bit faster, select speed. Let's go ahead and scroll it back. I had us climbing out super fast. That's why I didn't make that restriction. But if I just dial the speed back here, the aircraft is going to pitch up to reduce speed, therefore increasing its rate of climb. Very similar to what this expedite push button does. If you hit the expedite push button, it will do what I just did. However, it's going to go all the way to green dot, and if you slow way down, it's very hard to get your speed back. Airbus is king. Yes, it is. When I take off the Flight Factor 320, I always struggle to keep the airplane in the center line with the rudders. maybe you're taking off in a really bad crosswind. Who knows? Are you using forward stick? I know we talked about this on my last stream. So the procedure in the real world is you nose forward through 100 knots. So you should have your stick down about half scale to 3/4 deflection. That way you have maximum effectiveness on that nose wheel, because at low speeds the rudder doesn't have any authority because it has no airflow going around it, right? It's like a ship in the water not moving anywhere and turning the rudder. It's not gonna, you're not gonna be able to turn the ship when you're not moving, right? So on the ground, we nose forward on the stick to keep pressure on that nose wheel, so we can use our rudder pedals to move that nose wheel around. Because without using the tiller, we have a few degrees either side with the rudders that we can control. So make sure you're nosing forward. I hope that works. If not, maybe just check your wind, see if you're in a really heavy wind situation. I love Boeing, but Airbus is better. Agreed. If you had to choose between the Flight Factor 320 and Tolis 319, which one would you select? Ooh, that's a tough one. Man, you know what? They're both great modules, and I have a comparison video on there right now. But I would have to say one thing. The BSS sound pack with the Flight Factor is almost unbeatable. I literally feel like I am recreating my night at work when I listen to these sounds. Now, when Tolis comes out, if BSS comes out with the sound pack for the Tolis 319, I think it might be better than the Flight Factor, just because it's got more. I don't know, man. They're both great. I can't say definitively, but I will say it's very hard for me to fly an Airbus that doesn't have the BSS sound pack, because this thing just sounds so darn good. Tolis does have a lot more failure simulation, though, so if you're into failures, you might want to check that out. Check out the comparison video. I do have one on my channel already. Although this helps a lot. I like to fly Airbus in the sim, hopefully in real life. Awesome, Alan. Glad you like it. A nice feature that Boeing has and Airbus doesn't is the heading and airspeed in the digital and the PFD and ND. Are you talking about... Oh, you mean like here on the ND? Yeah, you know, that is, you don't see your heading bug. You can see it, you just have to, if you just move it, it'll pop up and you can see it. But yeah, we have it on the PFD when you move it. But other than that, yeah, you don't really have the heading. They say heading, you just kind of have to guess, or you just move the heading knob a little bit. Airbus is way more comfortable for daily pilot work, but Boeing have more fun to fly. That's what Rich said. You know, it all depends on what you are, what you're looking for. So here comes 18,000 feet set standard. Standard is set. I have a buddy that we used to fly the Airbus together, and he went on to a different airline, and he flies the 737 now. And you know what he said? It is a lot more work than the Airbus, and I can agree with that. I mean, the Boeing, there's a lot more manual switches going on. A big reason for that was, if you're familiar with Southwest, they didn't want any changes to the cockpit because they wanted, you know, the same sim, same training. It's better for them, which makes sense from a business standpoint. So I really think that inhibited the growth or the advancement of the 737 in terms of its cockpit. But I mean, he does miss flying the Airbus. Is a lot less work. So yeah, if you're looking for a high workload airplane, especially in the sim, yeah, it'd be great to fly. It'd be great to fly Boeing. I mean, I don't have a problem flying Boeing in the sim, but every day at work, I'll take my Airbus every day and twice on Sunday. Yes, the knobs. Let me just do a quick brief of that. I'm trying to keep track where we are, guys. I don't want to get too sucked into talking and miss our approach. Anyway, all right. So the knobs. Basically, let me see if I have a preset view. I think I do. There we go. Okay. So you have your speed knob, heading, selection of altitude, and then you have another knob here. All of these knobs work on the same principle. If you pull it, you are taking control. Think of it that way. So right now I'm in nav mode, right? If I pull this heading knob, I am taking command. I am now in heading mode. The pilot has command. You pull the knob towards you. You're in heading mode. The aircraft is going to fly what you say it's going to do. There's that triple chirp. That triple chirp is a reversion mode. That says reversion mode. That means something has changed in the FMA column in the aircraft. So if you hear that, make sure you know exactly why it's chirping at you. Now, if I push the knob in, it's called managed. Managed means the autopilot has control. So now you can see it's recorrecting its heading. It's going to get back onto the course, and it's going to fly the flight path that we have in the box. Same works for speed. Right now I'm in selected speed. You can tell that because there's no dot here. You see there's a solid dot here where it's managed, and there are dashes. I'm in selected speed. I control the speed of the aircraft right now. If I push this knob in, I'm going to manage the speed. I'm going to give the speed to the aircraft. The aircraft is going to fly its climb speed, 340 and 80 Mach. So let's test that. If I push the speed knob in, boom. Look at that. Now we're in magenta, going to 340. The autopilot is controlling the speed. We also have dashes and the dot. That is in managed mode. This knob over here, your vertical speed, flight path angle, etc., will always be dashed unless, of course, you take command and you want to descend at a certain vertical speed. You want to descend at a certain vertical speed. Obviously, it's the pilot doing it, so it can really only be pilot controlled. If you press it, we'll press it here, it says push to level off. It'll immediately stop the climb. You see, so now we've gone to vertical speed 0. Now, look, the dashes are gone, so that means the airplane's telling me, hey, you're in command of this airplane now. What do you want to do? You said level off, we're at 21.5. What do we do? It's not going to do anything until either I command it to climb at vertical speed, or I give it back to the airplane. How do I give altitude control back to the aircraft? Well, there's an altitude knob. I can pull it, or I can push it. Let's go ahead and push it. There we go. The aircraft is now thrust climb mode, and it's going to climb at its 340, which is programmed climb speed. So that's real quick breakdown of the knobs. Just remember, anytime you pull a knob out, you're pulling it towards you. The pilot is now in control of that knob, whatever that is, speed, heading, altitude. If you push it, you're giving that control to the airplane. It's going to fly what you have programmed in the box. I hope that answers your question there. Do you want to fly the 321 XLR? Ooh, you know what? Why not, right? My thing is, if it's got really big fuel tanks or more fuel, I don't know if I want to fly it, just because I personally, 3 to 4 hours in the cockpit, I'm about ready. I'm about ready to get out. I know some guys love it when they love long haul, and that's just, everybody's different in aviation. That's the great thing. There's so much to do in aviation. You can really run away with what you want to do. Another example, last night, we were going to Minnesota, Dallas to Minneapolis, Minnesota. And we had a jump seater. He just came off the 787 from Tokyo. So, two totally different worlds, right? Here he is doing, a 4-day trip on a different continent, and I'm just doing my, little day trip turn out and back. I'm home for breakfast, lunch, late dinner. Well, last night I didn't have any dinner because we didn't get back till, 2 o'clock in the morning. But it's just a different lifestyle, right? It's whatever you want to pursue in your career. Some guys want to pursue that long haul and go across the tracks to London, Paris. That's awesome. Me, personally, I want to be a family man. I got a baby girl on the way next month. That's why I'm going to be taking some leave. I want to be home as much as I can, but I still love flying, and I'm still passionate about it. So that's why I prefer, my out and backs. I'd rather go out and back for dinner, and be home. So maybe if I was younger and single and I didn't have a care in the world, I wouldn't mind going around. But it's whatever you want in aviation. Why does ATC talk so fast? That's probably because they I don't know, man. They're supposed to talk as fast as you talk. So if you respond really fast to them, they're going to respond fast to you. If you seem to be struggling and you talk slow, they should slow down and talk to you slower. That's how it should be. That's kind of a recommendation. I don't know if it's followed all the time. Do you Airbus pilots use ForeFlight at all? We use it as a backup. At my company, we actually have Jeppesen charts on our iPads, and we use that program, but we are mandated to have ForeFlight and keep that as a backup. Is there a managed altitude? Also, what about getting open descent and open climb. Okay, so real quick, open climb and descent or space. Okay, open climb means you're going to climb without restriction. So if you remember when we took off out of Ontario, the aircraft leveled off at 7,000 feet because that was a restriction. That's because I had the aircraft in climb mode, not open climb. Climb is the aircraft's version, right here, of managing the VNAV profile, if you will, for a Boeing term. So in the box, it had a restriction of 7,000. It leveled off. If I was in open climb, it would not have leveled off, and you would blow through that restriction, violating air traffic control if they wanted you to level off there. Same thing goes for the descent. If I'm in descent mode, the aircraft will descend and meet all of the restrictions that you have. So, for instance, we have restrictions coming into our arrival, which I'm going to have to start planning here momentarily. For instance, Guy at above 11,000. Wilson at or above 8,000. If I'm in descent mode, managed, or I have the altitude knob pushed in, it's going to meet those. If I'm in open descent, it's going to go for whatever speed I have, and it's going to descend at idle at that speed, and it doesn't care about any restrictions or speed, so you can blow through restrictions that way. Tallest may or not be making an A320 or A350. Yeah, I'm aware. I'm in their Discord. I see what they're doing. We'll see. I'd love to see a good A350, man. I think that airplane is beautiful, and it's pretty much the same flight deck. I mean, minus a couple of things, so it shouldn't be that hard to fly. We can go through that together. That'd be fun. What A320 mod is this? No, this is the Flight Factor A320, and I'm using the Batavia mod, which, I mean, if you look at the wings and the engine textures, they're much darker. They look much more realistic, in my opinion. And even the cabin is got these little screens. At night, it's really cool. When it's nighttime and you turn this dark, all these are still lit up blue, just barely. It's really great. I actually, Q8 Pilot, he showed me that on one of his videos that he published about all his mods and plugins. So I downloaded the Batavia mod. It's a free mod, simple install, and it's really nice. You had to wait for your plane to take off before you joined the stream. No worries, man. Glad you could make it. I actually fly a Zebra mod 737. But how much is the Flight Factor 320 right now? I don't actually know. Maybe somebody can answer that for him. I don't know what the going rate is for the 320. I know it's up there. It's probably $70 or... It's an expensive add-on. I try to hold most of my opinions to myself about how I feel about it. But essentially, we have two aircraft, the Tolis 319 and the Flight Factor 320, that are both really good, and they're both missing stuff. And I know companies, they got to make money, so they have to branch out and make different products. And so then the finished product always gets delayed. And I just, in this age of flight simulation, that seems to be, unfortunately, the norm. You get an open alpha or open beta product, and it stays that way for who knows how long. Right? Back in the day, you had a full release. You had a product that was finished and it was out, and they would fix it. But the market's changed, everything's changed, so you got to do what you got to do to make money. I would really like to see one of them just come out and finish their aircraft, put stuff on hold and just finish the aircraft that's already out there. But like I said, it's a business model. They have to do what's best for them. So it's easy to stand there as a consumer and say, oh, I wish they did this. Why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? But you have to understand that they're a business too, and they need to make money. So I'm gonna pull the Mach number back and climb up a little bit faster, or else we're never gonna get to top of climb. Can you change the climb in real life if the plane climbs slow, or does it stay the way it was in the FMS? Can you change the climb? I'm not sure I understand that question. I'm sorry, I don't really understand that question, Alan. You could reword that. Thank you, Gaming Star. Appreciate that. Cruising for this long? Well, we're not even done. We're not even cruising yet. We're still climbing out, but we're getting close to our destination. I'm actually going to take a break from the comments here, and I'm going to set up for arrival. You can see, though, man, Fort Boy ortho scenery is pretty darn nice. Alright, let me look at my charts here. We have to get ready for the arrival into San Jose, Norman E. Mineta, California. My heart lies with this airport. When I was a young kid, we used to always go see my grandparents, and we'd always fly into San Jose. And,
Potential aircraft, local time now 0800. All pilot edge control positions are open. Class Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta airspace procedures are in effect. Airborne aircraft operating IFR, contact nearest approach center facility. Airborne aircraft within Bravo Charlie or Delta airspace, contact nearest tower or approach facility. Aircraft on the ground operating a movement area, contact the relevant ground controller.
oh, we got Pilot Edge online. Okay. Let's see. He said contact the nearest facility. Well, we have to find out where we are. We are approaching Echo Hotel Foxtrot. So this is a good exercise in lost comms. Echo Hotel Foxtrot. That's over Shafter. Let's see. Closest airport is Minter. Los Angeles 27.1. Let's call them on 27.1. Alright, let's give him a call. LA Center, American 229. 27.9, climbing flight level 290, just over Shafter, looking to pick up our IFR into San Jose.
So again, your call sign going to San Jose?
So American 229, registration November 2422, November.
Alright, so you've logged into the network as 242 November, not as American 229. So you use what you've signed in as. You want to go with November 2, November?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah. It's November, what was it, 242, November?
Airbus 242 November, affirmative, squawk 6541.
Squawking 6541, 242 November. Did you say 6451? Whoops. Lockout star level 290. Alright, we're leveling Shafter.
November 2, November, squawk 6541.
Squawking 6541. 2 November. Ugh,
November 2, November, radar contact, 2 miles south of Shafter, and just verify altitude.
Roger, we're leveling 290, 2 November.
November 2, November, roger. Would you like flight level 300 or 280?
We can take 300, 2 November.
Let's do that for direction of flight then. November 2, November is cleared to San Jose Airport as filed, climb and maintain flight level 300.
Alright, clear to San Jose as filed, climb 300, 2 November. Alright, we're climbing up to 30 for direction of flight. Alright, I'm missing a lot of comments here, guys. I apologize. A lot going on here. It's the first time on Pilot Edge. Apparently, I screwed up the login, so we're going to be as 2 November. That's going to be hard to say. Can you make live streams around this time? I live in Japan, really. Yeah, I like this time, mid-morning. I'll try my best, man. Look at X-Vision instead of Reshape. Easier on frames. Connor Liu, that's exactly what I'm going to do as soon as I finish this stream, because I'm not really liking the reshade anymore. Alright, so I need to look at the arrival here, and let's go ahead and we're leveling 300. Alright, what are we doing? Constraints are on. We are Mark's Trucks. Maker's Trucks, so that is at 280, between 32 and 26, so we'll just call it 30. So I'm going to make this, put this restriction in here, 280 knots, 300. Over trucks. Insert that. Alright, then we have Silicon. 280, that's in there. Valley, 19, 15, 280 knots. Guy at 11,000. Wilson, 250 at 8,000. They are all in there. Clyde at 230, above 4,000. Perfect. Alright, that's going to lead us into the approach. Let me just get the weather for San Jose. Right now they're showing 350 at 4. Hopefully they land 30. I imagine they are. 10 miles, few clouds at 1,600, scattered at 9,000, broken at 12,000. Temperature 17. I know I'm doing it. Alright, descent, we're going to go ahead and reduce this to 310 knots. Which plane do I fly in real life? I fly them all, man. The 19, 20, and 21. Alright, we got our descent speed set. Altimeter is 3004. Temperature 17. Wind 350 at 4. Yeah, so talking about the X-Vision, do you guys, I was under the impression that reshade didn't impact frames, but I found that really hard to believe once I got it going. So if you're saying that X-Vision is better, then that's something I really need to get on with it. Minimum, I'm planning, what do I have in here? What runway? 30 left. So we're planning on, our minimum is 257. Non-precision approach tutorial. Yeah, I have a localizer approach video up on my channel. I don't believe I have a VOR. Maybe I don't. Maybe I have to do a VOR. I know I have an RNAV as well. On the conclusion of the pilot series, we do an RNAV approach, but that is an LNAV, VNAV, so we can do a VOR approach. I might make a video about that. Alright, so our approach data, proof data is set. We got plenty of extra gas. Copy the active flight plan. And this is when, if the ATSU function was working, we would go ahead and use it. We would send in our performance for the airport, landing on 30 left, and it would come back with all of our numbers, all of our landing performance numbers. So, unfortunately, that's not modeled in the flight factor or any aircraft that I know of yet in X-Plane. Maybe if you guys know of something other than having a third-party plugin. But yeah, we kind of have to do it ourselves. Alright, so we're level at 30,000 feet. We're going to start down here pretty soon at Trox. Let's go. Let's see if he'll give us direct Trox. LA, November 2, November, request direct Trox.
Number 242, November, stand by.
Stand by? Come on, man. One fix. LS push buttons on. Well, maybe not. Made the switch from Reshade to X-Vision. Awesome. Yeah, I will investigate that as soon as I conclude this stream this morning. I know it's kind of growing pains here at the channel. I apologize. We had technical difficulties.
Number 242, November, clear direct trucks.
Direct direct tracks to November, November next. There we go. Direct trucks. Shorten up our plan here a little bit. But yeah, I'm learning. I'm still getting used to the Streamlabs app and getting all the stuff working. So I appreciate your patience and working through it with me. VOR, NDB, and visual are missing. Yeah, I did have a visual approach in Gibraltar actually. I'm not sure where that video is, but I will continue making some approach videos. I just kind of got into this live stream format because making good quality videos does take a lot of time. So I kind of got burnt out when I concluded the professional series. But I still wanted to produce content, so that's when I kind of shifted over to the live stream version. But I will definitely try to do some of that for you, man. FS Labs, yes, it does, yeah. Believe it or not, I used the FS Labs before I went to training. Even though I have all that drama and all that, it sure is a great airplane. They did a good job on that. Makes me want to fly now, yeah. Engine failure tutorial. No, you know what? We could probably do one of those. We could probably do it in the toll list. They've got some good failure simulation. TopCat plugin works pretty similar to an Atsu type. I'll have to look at that. I'll look at that as well. Which airplane have you not flown yet that you would be keen to
November
fly?
242, November, contact Oakland Center 128, correction 127.45.
2745 to November, next. Oh boy. You can't spin these knobs nearly as fast as you can in real life. Oakland, good morning, 2 November, level 300.
November 242, November, Oakland Center, roger, descend via the Silicon 4 level, west transition, San Jose, altimeter 3003.
Alright, descend via the Silicon 4, west transition, 3003 in the box, 2 November. Alright, 3003, we're just going to put that in here so I don't forget. Alright, so descend via with the west transition. That is Clyde, bottoms out at 4,000 feet. We're going to put 4,000 feet there in the bottom. Anyway, when I haven't flown yet, I'd like to fly. You know what, I'll probably never get to fly it, but I always wanted to, and that is the Boeing 727. That airplane to me is just so cool, and I've ridden on it as a passenger, and I've been in the cockpit and all that, but I've never actually flown it, and it is one plane that I would have loved to fly. Everybody that I talked to that's flown it, I mean, it was a man's airplane, man. That thing could go fast, it could descend, it could climb, it could do everything you asked for. So if I could fly one plane, it'd probably be the 727. Do the logo lights come on when there's weight on the landing gear, or the flaps are set to release? No, the logo lights will come on when the switch is in the logo light position. In position 2, I believe. Now, you know what, actually, that's a good question. To be honest with you, I don't know. I can look it up. But we use this switch we just alternate, because if you're unfamiliar, the aircraft has 2 sets of nav lights all the way around. So we've got 2 green, 2 red, and 2 position lights. And System 1 is obviously one set of those, and System 2 is the other set. So whoever is flying the aircraft, if the captain's flying, we'll leave it on position 1. If the first officer's flying, we'll put it on position 2. A lot of times that logo light just burns out, and you'll see a little sticker that says in-op. But I'll have to look it up, man. That's a good question. I don't know exactly the answer to that. I'll take a look into that.
Disconnected.
What? Disconnected from Pilot Edge? Why do we disconnect? Let's see if we can do this. Location requires additional subscription. What? Well, that is kind of not cool. I'll investigate that as we this week. I apologize, guys. I didn't know. I just did the normal subscription, but I guess there's a certain zones with high traffic. You must have even more of a connection, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of a bummer. No, your call sign. Your call sign is well. It is your end number, unless you're flying as another company or if you register your call sign. So obviously, American's American, Southwest, Frontier, Spirit. Everybody has their own call sign. But if you're flying GA, it is going to be your end number, unless you have an agreement with ATC that you're using a call sign. Would you want to fly the MD-80? No. I rode on the jump seat of that plane many times. I actually went to training for that aircraft a long time ago. I never actually got to fly it. I ended up switching aircraft types, or actually I switched companies before I even finished simulator training. But I mean, it's a nice plane, but I would definitely choose a 727 over the MD-80. It's kind of an MD-80 on steroids, I guess. But riding in the jump seat to work in the MD-80 for 4 or 5 years, I grew to not love that airplane so much. It's hot. It's old. It's loud in the back. Anyway, if you're in the back, it's super loud by the engines. But I'd still choose the 7.2 over that. It's the Western expansion. What? Man, how much are they going to charge for that? I'll take a look into it. We'll use some of the donations there. We'll get that subscription going for the next stream, definitely. Because that was cool, man. That was my first time talking to air traffic control in a flight sim. So I actually felt like I was going back to work there. So we're going to get that all sorted out for the next stream. I will look into that. I do apologize again. Thank you, Pilot Boy. Appreciate the love. Switch to VATSIM. Yeah. Would I prefer newer planes with newer technology? And do you think being an Airbus pilot affects your answer? You know what, Connor? In light of, especially with the MAX, the situation there with the MCAS and all that, I am a firm believer that the pilot should have ultimate control of the aircraft. Now, a lot of people think that, in the Airbus you have no control, it's fly-by-wire, etc. You can put this puppy into direct mode or into alternate law at any point, and you have 100% eliminated the computers from interfering with you. People are like, it's fly-by-wire, you're not moving the flight control surface. Well, it's the same to a point with hydraulics, right? So in the Boeing, when you move the flight control yoke, you're commanding hydraulic piston movement to move flight control surfaces. In the Airbus, when I move the yoke, I send a digital signal to move hydraulic fluid to move the flight control surface. So you're still doing the same thing. There is no direct linkage really in either plane. Maybe in the 7.3 there may be some elevator. I don't know. Maybe if one of you guys are typed in the 7.3, there may be something. But as far as I know, in the new aircraft, even the new 7.3s, you're commanding a hydraulic fluid movement. So there is no direct linkage like in the old days and the older aircraft, and light aircraft, even today. So as long as it's an airplane that allows you to have full control of the aircraft, ultimate control should remain with the pilot. And that's true. That's the airplane I want to fly. Airbus has got the 220s or the C series that are out. I actually wouldn't mind flying one of those. It does make me a little bit nervous that the cockpit of the Airbus 220, formerly known as the C series, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's just 4 or 5 screens. That's it. That's a little bit disconcerting to me because I'm like, what if, you know, I'm sure there's backups and stuff, but I mean, I don't know. If we lost all our screens, you know, we still have the IASS right here. We still got a little compass here. I don't know. It makes me a little nervous with all that glass, but anyway. How much space do you have in your PC? What do you mean by space? I'm running, let's see, I've got a couple terabyte SSDs. I'm running the old Gen 1 i7 2600K, so that's going to be the first upgrade. Let's see, I'm trying to catch up some of these comments here. We're going to start down. Here comes Trex below 3280. We're going to go ahead and manage the descent, so it's going to comply with all our speeds. We're going to put TCAS on the low. Down we go. What trim should you have set on landing? It's all auto trim in the Airbus, man. Looked up the FCOM. Surprising, logo lights only illuminate when there's weight on wheels or the plane is in config 2. Interesting. I didn't even know that, man, and I've been flying the Airbus for some time now, so I appreciate the knowledge. How do you remember all the information ATC provides? Any trips or trick and tips on how to communicate? Just practice, man. Just practice. So, as an instructor, when I was a flight instructor, you get new students that they're afraid to key the mic, man. They don't even want to contact ground for taxi instruction. But you know, a couple flights later, you can't get them to shut up, and they're just talking on the mic the whole time. You're like, enough, enough, enough. So it really just comes down to practice and being comfortable in the situation. Like after you land, you know you're going to switch to ground, or after you take off, you're going to be going to departure. What are they going to tell you? You kind of subconsciously know that, okay, I got to go to departure. They're going to give me some kind of altitude, probably a heading. It's just practice and time behind the stick, man, and you'll get it. Which engine sounds do you think is better, CFM or IAE? Ooh, IAE, dude. All the way. I know these are CFMs. I know, yeah, these are CFMs. I do prefer the IAE. That way, if you know BSS comes out with a sound pack for the IAE engines on the TOS 319, ooh, baby, that's going to be nice. How often during a year would you use alternate law? 0. Unless it's an emergency or you're in the simulator. You use it, so that's a lie. I use it once a year, every time I go to recurrent training. Out of 30 legs, 0, man. You're not going to use alternate law, hopefully. Hardly at all. Because if you're using alternate law, that means something went wrong and you got issues. But I don't know if you guys remember or aware, there was a flight, was it Qantas flight? Was it Qantas 77? I'm sure some of you guys know what it was, but essentially what happened was very similar to kind of what Boeing has recently done, but there was a flight control issue where the aircraft thought that it was overspeeding and stalling at the same time. And then, so what happened was the crew got an overspeed warning, and then they got a stall warning. Now, when the aircraft thought it was stalling, what does it do? It's going to pitch down. If you watch my tutorial, I'm sorry, not tutorial, if you watch my comparison video, we went through direct law, alternate law, the protections, and everything that the Airbus has. So what it did is it pitched down, and it pitched down violently because it thought that it was stalling in midair, which obviously as pilots we know isn't true. So it really freaked out the pilots, but you know, they remained calm. He knew that he had to get control of his aircraft. So what did he do? He came back up here. He turned off his ADRs, turned off his ADRs. If you turn off 2 of them, you will force the aircraft into alternate law, and now you eliminate that computer loop. So in alternate law, you have control of the airplane. So if at any time your Airbus is trying to kill you, turn those puppies off and take control of the aircraft. Yeah, flight sim enthusiasts all over the technology. Absolutely, man. I love the new tech. It's cool. But I do love old school stuff as well. I'm kind of, I love all of aviation, man. I'm an av geek. We all are, right? So if you guys want, like I mentioned before, the next stream we may be in the King Air, we may be in a light prop, and we're going to be doing some Uh-oh. I need to update. Understood. Okay, so we may have messed up scenery. That's not good. We can divert. The only reason I want to divert, we go into San Francisco instead. I'll show you guys how to do a diversion. But what I'm saying, yeah, we might do some streams and some old aircraft here pretty soon. Where do you see it? Here, yeah, answer that one. I'm sure being in a real cockpit is part of the answer as well. Yeah. Yeah, Connor, it sure is, man. Well, what do you guys want? What do you say? San Francisco is not far. You want me to show you how we do a diversion? We can do a diversion in San Fran. It's not much long. It's only a couple miles out. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to load it up in the secondary. What we're going to do, we're going to... I'm trying to think of the best way. Secondary. I don't think I can do this, can I? Let's see. There's a couple ways. So being Airbus, there's a bunch of ways to do different things. Oh, yeah, I didn't think it would let you use the screen. Alright, so. What? Lateral revision? That's not right. There we go. Alright, so, oh yeah, I hit the wrong line key. Alright, so this is good for the TOLUS as well because it doesn't have the secondary. You can build a diversion in the secondary. But if you come to line select key number 2, not 1, number 1 is all lateral revisions. If you do, as long as everybody's intact, yeah, it is. It's not much further, and we've got scenery there, so we'll land in San Fran. New destination, we're going to go KSFO. And before we start doing that, let's take command of our airplane. So I want to descend. Let's change our altitude. In real life, we'd get something from ATC. It probably says stop your descent at 200. So I'm going to set 20,000 blue. I'm going to pull for heading, and I'm going to go open descend. So now the aircraft is going to fly this heading, descend, and land at, or not descend and land, it's going to descend and stop at 20,000 feet. So now we can adjust the box here. So we're going KSFO, new destination. Alright, so now you can see it starts building everything here. Let's go ahead and insert that. This is why we're in heading mode, because we don't want to change the box and be in nav mode and start turning all over the place. We're going to go SFO, arrival. We're going to go ILS to runway 28 right. Insert that. Let's look at the plan mode, so we can see what we've now put in the box. We still have silicon there. That was our original flight plan. Let me make it big for you. That was our original flight plan. But now, since we put in San Francisco, we can scroll through here. This is the ILS to 28 right. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to go direct. We're going to go direct C-pin. And this is incorrect. This would show you the line. Alright, there we go. So I don't know why, I guess it's just not correctly modeled, but it's pretty darn close. So what we've done, and now let me look at arrivals real quick here into San Francisco. I got to get a new chart out. SFO. So in real life, you would probably get a heading and an altitude, which is what we were flying. Then they would say, fly direct to such and such a fix. So ILS 28 right. So I'm going to make this a little bit longer. So I'm going to come back here, arrival. I'm going to reselect the ILS 28 right, which is already in there. Arrow over for transitions. These are stars. I don't want that. Where's my transitions? Really? So there are a couple discrepancies, obviously. Unfortunately, as we're finding out here, we should be able to go 18 left. What if I change it? What if I go 28 left, insert that, and now I'm going to go back to 28 right. What I'm trying to find is transitions for the ILS 28 right. Which they don't have them listed in the box, unfortunately. Alright. We're Airbus pilots, we can work around this. What if I load a star anyway? Yeah, Eddie. Insert that. Now, maybe I have more. Let's see. Alright, so this one starts looking crazy. There we go. Eddie. So direct to Eddie. There we go. Alright. So I don't know why it's not showing you guys that. I'm going to explain what I just did, because I know I did that really fast. So, recap. Best way to do a diversion, first things first, you pull your heading knob, make sure your altitude is set, and the aircraft is going to be in a safe configuration. Once that is set, you're going to go to line select key number 2. That is this one here. This is an LSK 1, 2, 3, 4, number 2, and it will always be there. What? Okay, now it's 3. You can do it 2, 3, 4, as long as you don't do this one. This one will be lateral revisions. You've got to pick a second line select key. Oh, I see why, because this is a limit. It's not showing a fix here. Pick a line select key below 1 and above the last one, and you're going to get this box here. Put in your new destination. You're going to insert that. Once you insert that, all you're going to have is your last fix and then the airport. So then you're going to select your new airport that you put in there. You're going to select your arrival, your approach, just like you do from the get-go when you first load the box. Now, unfortunately, when I loaded the ILS-28 right, I couldn't get any transitions. For some reason, I was airwing over and I only had stars. It wouldn't let me select a transition. So what I had to do is load a star, and then I could go from the star, I could pick the transition I wanted and get rid of the star, essentially. So that was kind of discombobulated, but just to recap, like I said, any line select key below number 1 and above the last one, new destination, put that in, load up your arrival, select your star or just your transition that you want, and now you're set up. But you have to remember, now that we have to set all of our performance data again. So, and we also have to make sure we don't get high. So we got to cross Eddie at 6,000 feet. With ATC, of course, you would be getting help. They would be giving you step-down altitudes and speeds so you don't end up getting off of profile. So doing it all by yourself, you can get a little bit behind, but we're looking good here. We're still above our VNAV profile. Things are looking good. Alright, now we do have to do all of our performance data again. Descent is already set. Approach 3004, 176. So our new MDA now for San Francisco ILS 28 right is going to be 213. We would have to get the weather. So let me pull up the weather for San Francisco. It shouldn't be much different from San Jose at all because they're very close to each other. Of course, I say that, and it's a little bit different. So 270 at 11. 10 miles visibility, broken at 11. I'm sorry, broken at 1500. Temperature is 16 degrees. Altimeter is 30 out 6. Alright, we're going to land config full. We're going to go auto brakes low. Alright, and now we're set. So is that clear as mud? Alright, let's go ahead and start down. We got a little ways to go. Let's look. Yeah, let's go ahead and start down a little bit. Get a little high. Alright, let me catch up with some of these comments. I apologize, guys. His head's down there. Alright, let's see. Flight Factor's perpetual beta. They recommend using the beta builds. I don't know about. Stream is very informative. Awesome. I'm glad somebody's learning something. That's what I love to share, man. I'm an instructor at heart. I love aviation. I love teaching. So I do apologize for my technological things with computers and sims. I'm really trying to step up my game and get through these growing pains here. So like I said, I appreciate your patience. All right, we did the diversion. How about the FlyJ Sim 727? I have that aircraft, and it's one of my favorite. Same with the 737-200. I love those modules. Is it normal the side stick has to be pulled to a big extent when flaring? Yeah, I don't have to pull mine too much. Maybe check your curvature. Do you have maybe a curvature or something there? I don't necessarily have to pull my stick very far at all. So maybe that could be a flight control binding issue, Chris. Do you have Navigraph subscription? No, I do not. Let's see. Memorize the approach plates for bigger airports. Yeah, that's bad. Means we've been flying too much, man. That's alright, though. Rutnut. Fly to DFW and X-Plane. That's my home base, man. That's where I'm based. I love DFW. Just memorizing one partial. Yeah. It was the VIA button there, probably different from the real McDo. Oh yeah, we'd make a VIA. I thought I looked at that. So I went here, arrival. Oh, well, let's see. Well, see, no, it should have been listed in transitions. I'll have to look back. VIA up here. But I didn't see any VIA. Oh yeah, it might have been up here, huh? I'll watch that back and take a look at it, guys. But yeah, either way, like I said, Airbus. There's 10 different ways to do one thing, and they're all correct. It's just however you get it done. All right, here comes. We're through this transition altitude. We are going to set 3006. We make a PA to the flight attendants. And they never got to stand up and use the bathroom this flight, so that sucks. But that's why I like flight simming, because I'm not responsible for that now, right? In real life, I'd be getting calls from the flight attendants. Hey, can you turn the seatbelt sign off? Hey, it's too bumpy. Hey, can you do this? I can just sit in my coffee and fly here with you guys. Airbus Sim Pilot, best one. I appreciate it, man. That means a lot. Thank you. Does the side stick return slowly? It returns just like any side stick that you would imagine would return. So, for instance, I talked about the Thrustmaster Warthog. How that stick moves in real life, like actual stick moves, is very similar to how the Airbus stick moves. It's a heavy, slow, continuous pressure in all directions with a very small center detent. I wouldn't even say detent. It's kind of it's a very soft detent. And yeah, it will return to zero when you let go. But remember, fly-by-wire, you're commanding a roll rate. So if I roll in to 10 degrees of bank and let go of the stick, I'm no longer commanding roll rate. So the aircraft will sit there at 10 degrees until I counteract that roll. Hello from Belarus. Awesome, man. Okay, we should probably pay attention here. Here comes, there's our decel point, 13.6. We're getting a little high and a little fast. I'm going to go ahead and extend some speed brakes. I get busy talking. Get out of whack here. Man, I love the sounds, the rumbles and everything. Alright, here we go. We're coming out of 13,000 now. Try to get my displays popped up here so you'll be able to watch them on the approach. Awesome, Rutnut. Sounds like we work for the same people. I probably know them. Who knows? At a DCA, man, that's a fun airport. Do you keep your updated nav data? No, I updated once. I just recently updated it. That's about it. The real aircraft, obviously, yes, it's updated every 28 days. But Flight Sim, that's one of the great things about Flight Sim. We don't have to worry about that. Expired nav database, full send, we're going. In real life, it'd be a 3-hour delay and a bunch of problems, so. Alright, here we go. We're coming through 10,000 feet here in the States. We're going to go ahead and get our lights on. Now, normally, this taxi light here in the aircraft, I would leave it in the off position. When we get cleared for approach, I will move it to the taxi position. When we get cleared to land, I'd move it to the takeoff position. But since we don't have air traffic control with us today, we're just going to move it into the takeoff position. Is it normal to deploy spoilers a little bit during ascent? Yes, especially in the 320, and it can be a slippery airplane. So, and actually, your descent interception right here, the squiggly arrow, is based on half speed brake and thrust idle. So, your planned descents are actually calculated with using speed brakes. Ask him what his favorite thing about it. Yeah, it sure is, man. The table. I don't think I could go back to flying a yoke. Any of you guys know what the weight limitation is on the table? One good-looking flight attendant. That's about it. Just kidding. Hope I don't offend anybody. Alright, there's 10,000 feet. We're at 250. Oops. Hit my speed brake button there. Get down. There we go. Alright, we're going to set our final approach fix altitude of 1,800 feet at Axmal. So we're going to switch this over to hundreds. Thrust idle, descent. So we are in thrust idle, manage descent mode. But here where we fly, we go ahead and take manual control of that. 240 knots selected speed. We're going perf, activate, and confirm. Out of 10,000, we're activated, confirmed. We're manual speeds 240 knots. We are descending to 6,000 feet for Eddie. The localizer has been auto-tuned, IGWQ 111.7. That checks. Final approach course will be 284. Vero is 213. Manual VOR approach, 122 pounds. Yeah. Oh yeah, somebody got it. Yep. Tootin' Putin. Actually, that's our procedure. 5 miles prior to top of descent, we manage the descent, and that gives the aircraft a little bit of time. Whoa! A little bit of wind shift there. Thank you, X-Plane Weather. But yeah, 5 miles prior is when we manage the descent. It will start down at 1,000 feet per minute until intercepting, and then it will continue on its planned descent path. So that is 100% correct. Even now, with that wind shift, so it's just going to get a little high on me. So I'm going to take, put some speed brakes out there. That wind shift kind of messed up the descent calculation. You can see our vertical deviation donut is going below us, telling us that we are high. We can verify that here on the perf page. I'm sorry, the progress page. 370 feet high off profile. Jungle Sim, roger that, we're cleared for the break. 800 feet. Number 2. I don't know who I'm following. Jungle is a good friend of mine. press pause when you have this freezing FPS behavior. Alright, press pause. Let's see. Huh. Actually seems to work a little bit. Is it standard to confirm the approach and the pilot takes over speed? Alright, so I always get this question, and it depends on who you fly for, man. In where I work, in our procedures, yes, 10,000 feet, we take command of the speed, activate and confirm, because we fly all over the place, South America, the islands, and you can get into a situation where, speed braking. You can get into a situation where the aircraft will fly into its deceleration point and slow to VREF, or attempt to slow to VREF, when you have an assigned speed. And that can get you in trouble with air traffic control and a bunch of other circumstances. Now, as far as I understand, in Europe and the EASA rules and all that, when you are assigned an arrival, you fly that arrival 99.99% of the time. You comply with the speeds and the altitudes. In the United States, in North America, it is very common to be vectored off of that arrival, be given a different speed or a different altitude. I would say I fly, the amount of arrivals that I fly 100% as published is probably less than 20% of all the arrivals that I fly. Almost all the time they're going to say maintain 250 knots, maintain 210 knots, you know, or to say comply with the speeds at Eddy, you know, so we'd be doing 250 here and say comply at Eddy, or reduce speed to 190. And when you start doing that and you try to fly in managed speed mode, you can get into trouble. So an ATC will yell at you. So here in the States, we take command of the aircraft, we fly the airplane below 10,000 feet with relation to the speed knob and the activate and confirmation. Do you have a good pilot movie besides Top Gun? You know, I've got an air traffic control movie called, it's an older one, Pushing Tin. If you haven't seen that, it's a great movie about air traffic controllers and dealing with heavy, you know, a lot of air traffic, and there's a little love story behind it with Angelina Jolie. That's kind of a good movie. Any other good pilot movies? Man, Sully was pretty decent. Funny thing is, I actually saw Tom Hanks in LaGuardia and the film crew. I actually saw them there when they were filming that movie, so that was kind of cool. That's a decent movie. I mean, they follow the QRM by the book. They do what we do in the real aircraft in the movie, so you kind of get a good look at what's going on. A couple discrepancies with the 3D modeling. They show the Airbus, you know, the rat didn't pop out, or a couple things looked a little off visually. But as far as their procedures went, it was pretty darn good movie. Which weather do I use? Believe it or not, this is default weather, so this is why I am probably struggling on the frames here. Well, either that, and because I have a Gen 1 i7, and I'm flying a flight factor at 320, which is really heavy on frames for me. Yeah, funny thing is, Connor, I do have Mr. X. I do have his library, so I am unsure. Maybe it's something that I missed. But I do use Mr. X airports, and I do have his library, so I don't know if there's an additional library or what, but yeah, thanks for that. I apologize, guys. Normally I get up early and I get my stream all set up and I test everything before going live, but this morning I literally woke up at 8:30 and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to start the sim in 30 minutes. So I scrambled over here, subscribed to Pilot Edge, fired up the sim, had some issues with the Pilot Edge plugin and the flight factor. I threw in a scenery, and then we went live right off the bat, and it was really ad hoc and kind of quick, but I wanted to get the content out for you, so I apologize for that. Alright, we're going to go ahead and go open descent now. We're going to change this to 3,000. A little bit of speed brake action. I want to get down She is being a little bit slow to respond this morning. Mulvey Sully, yeah, we talked about that. Good movie. Iron Eagle, Airplane, Jungly. Come on now. Flight with Denzel Washington. I do like Denzel, man. I do like Denzel. Alright, we are going to level at 3,000. Say American 229, descend and maintain 3,000, maintain 3 till established, cleared, ILS 28 right approach. So we get cleared approach, we do 2 things. Approach here, AP2, the Cat 3 dual, autopilot 1 plus 2. 4 for 3. We're going to need to slow down as soon as we level. Flight of the Intruder, yeah. Tootin' Putin, yep. I am aware of that master list. I will get that set up. It was funny, I was like, oh, we're going to San Jose. I don't have a scenery for that. I just dialed in, you know, a KSJC airport scenery, clicked it, download, put it in the folder. Didn't even test it, didn't even look at it, so I'm sure I'll be able to fix that up for you guys. I do appreciate the help. Alright, we are leveling at 3,000 feet. I'm going to go ahead and bring the speed back to 180. If you guys have been watching my videos, you know 2,000 feet above touchdown, 180 knots, flaps 2. Where's VFE next minus 10? Here comes flaps 1. I'm going to go ahead and keep that there. Actually, that looks good. Loc Star, we've captured the localizer. Aircraft's turned in. Hazy day in San Francisco. Glide slope star. We've captured the glide slope. Go around altitude is 3,000, so we're going to leave that. We are VFE next minus 10. Let's go flaps 2. Glide slope has been captured. Yeah, this may be... I don't know if I'm going to be able to use this 320 streaming here for a little bit. This is so heavy on the frames. And this is where we want to be. We want to be right here. 180 knots. Flaps 2. And we are just cruising. As soon as we reach the 2,000 feet above touchdown, which happens to be 13 feet, just call it sea level, we will go ahead and manage speed and lower the landing gear. Just starting to make out San Francisco there on the horizon. (2,000 feet). Manage speed. Gear down. When the gear goes down, the speed brakes must be armed. What is VFE? VFE is indicated by this little equal sign here. You see that? So VFE minus 10 is our procedure for flaps. So VFE minus 10, let's go flaps 3. And this is, like I said, 2,000 feet, 180 knots, flaps 2. You will be very efficient. You won't be high, you won't be fast. You're going to be stable at 1,000 every single time. Alright, VFE next, minus 10. Flaps full. Landing checklist. Cabin crew advised, auto thrust. Speed. ECAM memo. Landing all green. Landing checklist complete. We are cleared to land. Runway 28 right. That dirty wings. Yes, that is the Matavia mod. Yep, we say that as well. Lago, we do say that. Cat 3 dual output 1+2. Low blue glides the blue. We must announce that. Sorry if I didn't. I'm looking at two screens here. I'm looking at my sim, and then I've got my laptop up running so I can see the comments. How many FPS are you? I don't know, but it's pretty terrible. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hand fly the approach from the final approach fix. Well, we already passed final approach fix, but I'm going to fly it down. When you disconnect the autopilot, guys, don't press the autopilot push button up here. That's wrong. You have to disconnect it from the stick itself. From the stick itself. I see a lot of guys disconnect it the wrong way. In the aircraft, you never disconnect it from the overhead or from the FCU. Always from the stick. All right, we have reverted to Cat 1.
1,000.
Thousand feet stable. So in calm winds like this, flying on the approach is very minimal adjustments on the stick. Very minimal. Just trying to keep that cross right in the flight director box right in the center. Alright, I can see the pappies now. We got 2 white, 2 reds.
500.
A landing. Man, these frames are hurting me.
300.
But I'll highlight the landing plugin for you guys so you can see which one I'm using. Yes, Connor Lou, there is, because if you disconnect the autopilot from the FCU, the aircraft will think that it's an autopilot failure, and you're going to get a red ECAM warning with AP1. Oh man, I can't promise anything with these frames.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 5.
Oh, yeah. That was not very good. But, I mean, my frames are well in the teens here, so I apologize, guys. But you can look at the landing plugin here. 1.15G. That's pretty uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable. But it shows you your threshold, distance from center line. Yeah, I hate blaming my landings on anything other than myself, but when you're trying to land with frames in the teens, it is pretty tough. But yeah, we've got G load 1.15, threshold You saw the rest, center line distance and all that. But holy smokes. I mean, I can barely switch views, so I'll probably save you guys the, the pain of taxiing all the way to the gate. We'll get the flaps up here. Retract the spoilers. Clear the runway. We'll get the APU going. We'll make the left turn here and go straight to the terminal. Nice landing. Thanks, Alan. Yeah. Hey, any landing that you can walk away from, that's a good landing. But definitely not a smooth one, and it's just, like I said, man, I pretty much thought I was on the ground, but I wasn't, and I think it was just my frames being still, and then we were on the ground, and it was a little rough. A little rough. We'll look at the replay if you want, if you guys are going to stick around. Bear through these frames here, hopefully. Oops, we'll keep that on. We'll take a look at the replay. We'll judge it in the replay here. Let's get to the gate. Let's get shut down. We always kill the taxi light when you are approaching the marshaller, so he is not blinded. Alright, brakes are set. Oops, no they're not. There we go. APU is available. So, our procedure, engine 2. Seatbelt sign. Engine 1. We are pulling in here. Everything's shut down. Let's get the doors opened up. Bleed air faults. Anonymous erroneous errors. Alright, we are down. Beacon light can come off. Let's get the APU bleed on for now. And park checklist. Slides, disarms, engines off, seatbelts off, exterior lights set. Ice. And parking brake is on. Parking checklist complete. Alright, let's take a look. I'll take a look at the comments. But there is the old Batavia mod. Definitely really makes this aircraft pop. Alright, if you guys are still here, we'll look at the replay. And we'll see. We'll see how bad it was. Like, look at some of the comments here. With that kind of FPS, it was perfect. I appreciate the love, man. Thank you. Don't trust that thing. Yeah, I'm not going to trust it. Screw it. Here we go. Let's take a look at it. Coming down. That doesn't look too hard to me. Let's watch it from a different angle. Let's take it back. The other thing that you guys are probably aware, the Flight Factor doesn't have replay sounds, which is very sad. Oh boy. That's not good. We have probably ended the stream right there. I apologize, guys. Today was a really kind of a mess, but I do appreciate the love and support that you guys are giving me on the stream. So we're going to fix up some technical issues. There is our crash from X-Plane in the replay. You're welcome. I'm okay with the frame rate, with how educational it is. I'm glad you guys learned something. Appreciate it. When doing full auto land, it says retard. Yes, immediately retard the thrust levers. I have a video on that exclusively. Take a look at that one. Exactly why I fly the Tolas. Yeah, we're going to fly the Tolas next time, guys. We're going to step away from this Flight Factor. It's been hurting me. Catch up with the rest. All right, guys. Thanks for the subscribes. Remember, if you want to support the channel, everything that gets donated will be reinvested into my hardware so I can have better equipment to get you guys the best content possible. So appreciate everything, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. We'll catch you on the next one.